Episode 10 picks back up with Brittany going down to the dungeon for a meeting with the traitor. It was no surprise that Brittany accepted Danielle's ultimatum to become a traitor. I couldn't foresee the Big Brother alumni refusing and walking away from the game this close to the end. My question was, could they really maintain the trust with each other and escape banishment to have a shot at winning together? What was very clear to me was that there was a stark difference in the turret. For the first time this season, it was harmonious, and there was a proper discussion with a more balanced assessment about who to murder. Which faithful they would want to take to the endgame was also factored into their discussions. There may have been other times with the previous traitors when the tension was at its lowest, but we were not shown them.
Because our traitors have been so psychotic.
So unhinged.
Themselves, fighting each other.
Gabby's assessment of the traitors was a comical relief at breakfast, at a time which can be seen to be a bit tense. With Tom being the latest victim, this kind of blew up Dolores' theory of Tom being a traitor, though I think she would have just been happy to see him exit the game one way or another. Tom went from the player the other faithfuls couldn't trust due to his wild theories to the faithful that helped banish Rob from the game. We can't forget his singing either. Alan even threw a little comical dig about Tom being faithful for once. I don't think anyone needs any context for that. I couldn't give it to you anyway, but I'm sure we all get it. With so little players left, there were a lot of one-on-one conversations, and the main names mentioned were Danielle and Gabby. There seemed to be this awkward tension when Danielle and Gabby were talking one-on-one or just existing in the same space. It was awkward in the kitchen, and it was even more awkward when they were sitting on the couches. The silence was palpable, and it just felt like it was going to be between the two of them as to who was going to be banished. Or so I thought. My first thought when Alan told them to start the discussions at the round table was who was actually going to start. Then it just became a wait because there was a reluctance for anyone to start first. That moment when Brittany gasped like she was going to start and Gabby's quick head turn surprisingly cracked me up. I guess the silent tension just made the littlest thing funny to me. What was really telling about the round table in regards to those speaking against Danielle was, where was this in the previous round table when Carolyn was trying to make a case? Gabby and Ivar have been suspicious of Danielle before the previous round table. Any effort they've made in the past wasn't like this. Most of the talk was about the previous round table possibly being a traitor versus traitor affair. There was so much more they could have presented as evidence against Danielle, going by their suspicions of Danielle prior to the previous night. This was a different set of circumstances to when Danielle faced Carolyn. While Danielle presented an excellent case against Carolyn, the case against Gabby didn't seem to hold as much weight to help swing votes in Danielle's favour. Gabby held her own against the two-pronged attack of Brittany and Danielle. I thought to myself, is no one clocking Brittany and Danielle looking like they were trying to silently communicate the switch of their plan? I don't know who was trying to signal to who, but that was some shuffling after hearing Dolores say she was going to vote for Ivar. Despite the plan to try and get Gabby banished, she managed to not have a single vote cast against her. We ended up with a tied vote with both Danielle and Ivar receiving 3 votes each. Brittany, Danielle and Dolores voted for Ivar, while Dylan, Gabby and Ivar voted for Danielle. This meant that a revote would be needed, with Danielle and Ivar excluded from voting. The interesting part was that if tied again, their fate would be decided by chance. What that would entail, who knows, because we were left on a cliffhanger. I can't say I was convinced by either pleas from Danielle and Ivar, though Danielle was really laying it on Dylan to not vote for her. I did wonder if the little mention of her history with Brittany was also a little reminder to Brittany for her not to do it again. I might have been reading too much into it, but what I've learned about Danielle is that she thinks many steps ahead. Brittany's reaction when she saw that Dolores didn't change her vote and once again voted for Ivar made it look like Brittany just might have repeated history, albeit in a different game. As Dylan and Gabby kept their vote for Danielle, it would either be another tie or Brittany would send Danielle packing. So the title of the episode is called The Power of the Seer. All throughout the episode, Alan was talking about the power of this advantage. While they were banking money for the prize pot, the mission was partially about who would win the seer power, so you would think that we would at least find out who won it. If we weren't going to find out who that person would pick to know the status of another player, then they would at least give us who obtained the power. We didn't even get that. Sometimes a cliffhanger can be good, but in this case it wasn't. This episode left us with more questions than answers. Who gets banished? Who becomes the seer? Who does the seer choose? Is there even a murder? If so, who's the victim? Though with the last two questions, there probably isn't going to be a murder, as 5 players is a popular preference for the final episode. The final episode has the potential to be a packed and rushed finale, with parts of it to be consumed by the banishment vote, seer power, and the possible repercussions of the reveal. Looking at all 6 of the players, I feel like this might go down to the final 2 because of the no role reveal in the final episode. There's enough mistrust around that I would be surprised if the Fire of Truth ended any earlier, unless Danielle manages to escape this punishment and finds herself, Brittany and Dolores at the end together. While I think Dylan and Ivar are pretty confident about each other, I don't think the Faithfuls are confident about Gabby. Dolores could inadvertently be carried by either the Traitors or the Faithfuls. I've tried to go over all the scenarios to try and guess who wins, and many times it gets thwarted by Dolores, as she may completely change her mind and think somebody else she hasn't mentioned is a traitor. If Danielle escapes, she has a high chance of winning with Brittany, otherwise Brittany wins it solo. The possible victorious Faithfuls combination is where I'm perplexed. We shall see who takes home the final prize pot.